Okay, so we got to get Trip ready for a trip. We have a couple issues.
I love your videos, they're so cool.
Awesome, yay, thank
it
you.
It keeps me going in between trips. Nice.
How awesome it is.
Okay, so we're getting Trip ready for a trip. We're actually going to do some trail riding in Hollister, California, I think, if it works out. Regardless, Trip needs some maintenance. We had a couple issues. One, when we got the MTS shocks, we actually, you're going to be using more wheel travel, more shocks, cars lifted higher, so sharper angles on the CVs. So we opened up the CVs and made sure they had enough grease, and some of them didn't, so we added grease. The only problem we ran into is when we put the front ones back together, we didn't have the proper CV boot clamps for the portion that goes around the axle itself. The ones we had were a little too big, so they've been a little bit loose, spitting a little bit of grease out, so we got to pull those off. We got to make sure they have grease in them, and we got to put new clamps on them. Also, we might have broken something here. I'll show you that in just a minute. Looks like we broke, well, I know for sure we did. We broke a sway bar, and we're going to fix that, and I'll show you how. Also, the other thing is these iBox springs. These iBox springs, they don't sag as bad as the stock springs, but they were brand new, and they do sag. I think they said about an inch initially. Then once you set the preload and the height again, they stay. So it's time to do that. I don't know. We've probably put I'm going to say 500-600 miles. I'd have to check the odometer, but we've put about 500-600 miles on this car since the shock tune and the ECU tune. So it's time to raise it up. Hopefully we'll get all that covered. This might be a two-part video. Depends on how much we get done today and how much I video and how long it takes us to finish the rest. We did get some stuff. Hang on, I'll grab that and show you. We grabbed some tools and some parts. We grabbed these guys. These are CV boot band clamps. If you can see that. We got them on Amazon, and the tool that you used to put them on. So hopefully we'll get to trying these out today, and I'll show you what this looks like. And we got some CV grease, so we'll be repacking them if they need, and we'll be putting these clamps on. However, these guys right here, they're actually too small. We ordered, these are I think 280 millimeter. We ordered, the ones we ordered, these are too small, and we ordered some bigger ones that should be here tomorrow, so we'll have to finish this up tomorrow. But anyway, we got the tool, we got this, we're gonna pull everything apart, we're gonna take a look at it, and I'm gonna show you the broken sway bar, and I'll show you what our solution is for that. That's coming up, so stick with us. Okay, so I'm gonna jack this thing up and get the wheels off the ground, and that'll make it a little bit easier, and I'll show you what happens with the sway bar. Hang on just a second, let's get this thing raised up in the air. So I'm going to assume, I don't know for sure, but I'm going to assume that this is probably a fairly common thing, because pretty much everything we've had break on this car has just been, common issues with Can-Ams. But given that we have different shocks, different springs, take it back, different valving in our shocks and different springs, we're actually not going to connect the sway bar back right now. We're going to run without it. I don't know, for any of you that have driven one of these without a sway bar connected on stock shocks, for me, it's a little sketchy. Gets up on three wheels really easily. But back, I don't remember what it was, back New Year's maybe, we did a video on MTS shocks when my cousin Dean got his shocks tuned. And we drove the car after the shocks got tuned, and I didn't notice until afterwards that his sway bar was disconnected. We had ran this car a couple times with the sway bar disconnected, just simply because the sway bar link broke, and I'll show you also in a minute when I show you the sway bar link. The sway bar itself. But I didn't like it. But driving his car after the MTS tune with the heavier springs and the heavier valving, And keep in mind, with that said, the heavier springs and the change in valving, I said heavier, maybe it's not heavier, but whatever, the change in valving, the car is smoother, but there's less bottom out. There's more bottom out control. So it's like the ideal situation for us because the car was more planted, less body roll, smoother ride, better through the whoops. So we're gonna go ahead and step it up. We're gonna yank the sway bar out of this thing. I'll show you what it looks like in a minute. We're gonna compensate by turning up the compression a little bit on the front springs. Right now it's backed all the way out and we still don't bottom out for the most part, every once in a while, but mostly in the back. So we're gonna go ahead and crank up the, now that we've broken the springs, we're gonna raise the ride height back up, set that preload. We're going to give it a little more compression, probably on the low speed to compensate for that body roll going into the corner so we don't lift that back tire up. And we're gonna yank the sway bar out. I'm gonna jack up the car right now. I'll show you what the sway bar looks like. And I will show you the sway bar end links that we made a while back to take care of another common issue. And I know that one's common because I've seen 3-4 of them break. But that's the sway bar end links. I'll show you. Anyway, right now I'm gonna jack this thing up and get it up where we can pull the wheel off so you can see a little better, and then I'll get the camera in there and show you what it looks like. So we'll get it up in the air, we'll put some jack stands under it. Okay, we're going to throw these jack stands underneath this thing and get it secure. We'll pull the wheel off and I'll show you what, like I said, what that sway bar looks like. Okay, we're gonna pull these front wheels off. I'm lazy, so I like to use an impact, but I think that's pretty much standard. Everybody does that now. Okay, so we got the wheel out of the way. I got my little work light in here. Look at this guy, it's pretty handy. A little rechargeable LED. The magnet on the end just sticks. You can just stick it to stuff. Stick it right down here. Anyway, here's the sway bar that broke. Look at that, nice clean, snapped right in half. We heard it when it happened. I wasn't sure what it was. We looked the car over a little bit. For some reason didn't notice this was hanging down because it was kind of hanging down here. It was the last ride, so we kind of just looked at it, checked out, went back to camp, and then sitting here in the garage I noticed it. So we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna pull this out of the way. We're just gonna pull it off. But before that, we're gonna look at the CVs. Look down here. Let's see if I can get a light on it. See that? The clamp's too small. So it's not tight and we're leaking grease out of there. So that's what we're gonna pull apart. Anyway, we'll come back to that. We're gonna switch over to some time lapse while we take this front end apart, but stay with us. Okay, so we ran into one little snag. This guy, right here, is the 30 millimeter. And guess what socket I don't have? A 30 millimeter. So I'm gonna go grab one real quick and then we'll come back and we'll take this guy apart.
6.5 hours later.
We found what we needed. We needed a 30 millimeter socket, this guy right here. And we found it at Tractor Supply. We didn't find it at Tractor Supply because Tractor Supply does not carry metric apparently, at least the one near us. But I did find it at, I don't know, the local auto parts. O'Reilly's, I think. I wanted an impact, but this is what they had, so this is what we're gonna use. It does fit, as you can see. Hopefully you can see that. So we're gonna pull this off. We're gonna pull the shock off. And then we're gonna raise this all up. And we're gonna take the axle out, hopefully. All right, we're gonna see how tight this thing is. It's been off before, so we're gonna see if this impact will take it off. Let's find out. Okay, that's probably good news. Doesn't take it off. So we're gonna need to put a breaker bar on it. We'll do that right now, but we need someone to press the brakes. We'll be right back. Okay, so we got this nut off, as you can see. It was a little bit tight, but it came right off, so we're gonna pull off the brake rotor. Okay, so it's a little warm out here, so I'm gonna finish this up here. But we have the axle out, as you can see here. I'm gonna take some side cutters and cut the bands off, and I'll show you what the CV looks like real quick. That stuff's pretty tough. There we go. That band off. We have a different kind that we're going to use. This guy's already gone. As I showed you, it's broken. Or it was broken. So it's gone. We're not going to use it, obviously. Oh yeah, there's some grease. So it looks like we're pretty good on grease. We may not have to worry about that too much. So basically, I think all we have to do at this point is just clean up this boot the best we can around the mating surfaces and put those new band clamps on, and we're good to go. I don't have this outer one, but I will show you how they work. I'll show you this one, because really after I show you that kind of covers everything here. The rest would just be redundant, because we're going to do the same thing here, take the other side off and do the same thing there. So we're going to, put this back on where it belongs. Get this guy in place where it belongs. Okay, so here's what we got. I think I showed this to you earlier, but this is the CV band clamp. It's made for CVs. Hopefully we can focus on that guy. Good enough. I'll put a link or something so you can see what it is. Open this guy up. All the way like that. And then you put it around the CV, like so. This, your tail right here, goes in through a little slot in the end of this tool right here. And then it goes underneath this piece right here on the side is a cutter. So you slide that right in under the cutter. Get that in the shot. Slide that under the cutter. You can see that. Then you put it through this guy, and then you crank this up. It winds it up tight, and then you cut it with this guy. I'll do that right now over here. I'll show you on the actual CV. Okay, so I put it on once, but I missed it. I forgot to hit record. So we're gonna do this again. It's roughly where the boot goes. Put this guy together, like so, around the boot. And then you get the tool. This guy here, as I already showed you. We're going to put the tail in through the end, like so, and then through the cutter. Oops, I still have a piece of the other one on here, hold on. And then we put it through the piece that winds it up and tightens it. Like so. Get that in the right place. Wind it up. It's good and tight right there. Once it's good and tight like that, holding onto this lever down here to keep it tight, fold it over like so, and don't break it. Okay, so like I was showing you before I got too aggressive with this tightener and broke it, is put the band through, put this piece back in over it, this piece that winds it, get that all the way into place, pull this tight as far through as you can. We'll go ahead and wind it up. Get a good tension on it, like so. We'll fold that guy over. Once it's folded over, pull this lever here, and this is the cutter. The cutter on this tool is crap, so I'm going to pull that through, and I'm going to cut it manually with some cutters. It's hard for me to show you that on camera, but I'm going to cut it right here. It's folded over and tight. Cut it like that. That still allows it to, I'll show you the process here. It still allows to fold up into the tabs that are right there. So go ahead and bend that band the rest of the way over like that. If you can see that, and then we'll fold those tabs over. Should have squeezed them first. We'll squeeze them over first, like so. And we'll hammer them down tight. Oops, that one went the wrong way. Hammer them down both tight, like so. You should be able to see that that's on now. It's on there pretty good. I think we'll probably shoot to get it a little bit tighter when we actually put this thing together. This was just a test run, but so I'm definitely questioning this tool, at least this brand. I think this is a knockoff of probably a much better one. Really, the only thing that doesn't work is the cutter. The rest of it's okay. And I'm not too sure about these bands that I got. I'm gonna do some research. Interstate. Maybe they're good, maybe I'm just being too aggressive with them. Anyway, that's what we got. This will go back together all the way when we get the rest of the parts that we ordered. Excuse me, it's hot in here, I'm sweating like crazy. We'll put this thing back together. I'm gonna show you the sway bar real quick. The adjustment on the shocks is gonna have to be later because it's just too hot and I'm over it. So I'm gonna show you removing the sway bar right now, and then the rest of this will be in another video. Okay, so like I said, we're gonna pull these sway bar brackets out. I mean, technically, I wouldn't have to pull this one out because the sway bar is broke, as you can see, and it's just barely sticking in there. I can pull it out from the other end, but I'm gonna have to pull that bracket off or slide the thing all the way through. And since I'm gonna be pulling that one out, I might as well have this one out of the way so it doesn't look goofy. You know, we don't want to weigh down the driver's side. There's already more weight on the driver's side. So I'm gonna pop this loose. Okay, so I know there's some background noise, but I'm hot. I had to turn the cooler on. Running up. So probably almost 100 outside. I don't know if that's true, but it's warm. Wrench down. That's all there is to it. That removes the sway bar bracket. We're going to put this in a bag somewhere in case we decide to go back with one. Who knows? Maybe it broke because I didn't grease it enough. Or Brandy was, driving too hard. Who knows? Set all that stuff aside. Put all those parts in a bag. And there we go. So let's go around. We're going to pull the sway bar end link off on this side because this side's actually still all together, as you can see here. It's sticking through that bracket. So we want to get the sway bar end link off, so then when we drop that bracket, we can just pull that whole thing out. I'm going to use this impact, and I'm going to get back here on the back side of this guy to the nut that's holding this bolt that goes through here, and I'm just going to pull that out. So there's the nut that was on the back side. Here's some washers. This guy's loose, as you can see. I'll put these back on here so we don't lose them in case we decide we want to put this back together. Who knows? We might not like it. Now so you hear that creak? That's the suspension dropping down further. So that's another issue we might run into. We might need to put some limit straps on. We probably will need to put some limit straps on. We'll come back and talk about that in a little bit. Right now we're going to go ahead and pull these guys out, these bolts. Let me move you up here a little bit. We're going to pull out these bolts and pull the sway bar bracket out and pull that whole sway bar out. There we go. Basically 3 bolts per side, and we're going to pull this thing out. Oops. There we go. As you can see, it's snapped off. I'm not sure what we got going there. Oh, it's a little stop. It stops it before the bracket. Snapped off inside of that guy. So there we go. Sway bar's off. We'll find out if we like it without it. Aside, we're gonna put this whole thing aside, and if we like it without it, then done. We don't have to worry about it anymore. We got a mess out here. I'm not picking it up right now, it's hot. So in the next video, we'll cover the other stuff. The settings on the shocks. Probably not putting the CVs back together. I pretty much showed you what's gonna happen there. But you know, we'll talk about the settings on the shocks and stuff like that. We'll cover that when we go to put this thing back together. Anyway, thanks for watching. We appreciate everybody subscribing, the comments, all of it. And don't forget to push that bell, click the bell, so you get a reminder when our new videos come out, if you like these and you want to keep up with us. Also, on Facebook, we have a new group. We have Dandi Off-Road Adventures on Facebook. Come and join us. We just put it up the other day. We have about 80 members already. Good times. We post, you know, just other random stuff in there, and group conversations. Maybe a group ride we'll have in there. We'll talk about it. So if you go join that Facebook group, you can get more information on what's going on, what we have coming up, what we're up to, what our plans are, all that stuff. It's easier to put, you know, information in there quickly, because you know, if we put in a video, we have to wait to publish that video before you see it. Sometimes what we're doing's already happened before the video comes out. So that's what we're going to start using to let everyone know what we're up to and what events we'll be at and what our plans are, where we're going to be riding, if you guys want to come ride with us, that kind of thing. So again, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for the comments. Please keep up the comments. We love the comments. It's awesome. And click that bell if you'd like, so that you get notified. Thank you.